Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the Beyond Lunar New Year Understanding Holiday Driven Business Rhythms in China, Taiwan, and Korea webinar. I'm Tiffany Kosier, the marketing manager at WUSADA, the Western United States Agricultural Trade Association. I'm going to quickly cover a few housekeeping notes before we dive into today's webinar. First, we're going to be recording today's session, and we'll email you a link to the recording on our YouTube page within the next few days. You'll remain muted during today's presentation, but please feel free to submit any questions you have throughout the webinar through the chat feature. We'll address any questions that come in during our dedicated Q&A session at the end of today's webinar and follow up by email on any we don't get to live. If you would like to say your question out loud rather than typing it in, there's also an opportunity for you to use the live call-in button where you can raise your hand and enter into a queue to address your question live. Getting into today's webinar, I'm pleased to introduce Alicia Adler from Bryant Christie, Inc., who will be presenting on today's webinar. Over the next hour, Alicia will give a practical overview of how major holidays influence buying behavior, distribution timelines, and marketing strategies across East Asian markets. By the end, you'll understand how to align your product's launches, promotional campaigns, and shipment schedules to better match holiday-driven demand cycles in these markets. Let's go ahead and get started. Alicia, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Tiffany. And thanks to WUSADA for having Bryant Christie as your partner in these export seminars. I'm really excited to present this particular topic. My background has been in market development for a variety of U.S. commodities, but with an emphasis in specialty crops and U.S. specialty crops and related processed products, ingredients. Have really benefited over the years from the opportunities created by holiday and the gift-giving cultures in many markets around the world, with an emphasis in Asia. And these are the holidays and the process, the purchasing cycles, the promotional cycles that we're going to cover today. So we wanted in this presentation to give a very high-level overview of process of the planning that goes into it, with an emphasis on the opportunity. And if your business can really work with your import partner, with your retail partners internationally, there is significant opportunity for growth of your export market, introduction of new products, and hopefully developing some longstanding opportunities on an annual basis when these holiday periods arise. Just as context, one holiday, we'll share different data points throughout this presentation, but just to give you some context in comparison to the U.S. holiday season, for the Singles Day, which is a popular celebration day in China, the retail value of this particular holiday across retail and e-commerce platforms is at $202 billion in the sales in the week leading up and the sales of on that day, which is significantly higher than the gross merchandise value of Black Friday and Cyber Monday in the United States. So just to give you an idea of the scale of the value, the sales value and potential for these holiday periods, I want to make sure you keep that in mind, and also help you understand kind of the process leading up to that with the importers and the distribution of the products. I'll go ahead and get started. So as I said, we'll focus on China, Taiwan, Korea, but there are holidays around the world, as we all know. And as you really understand the holiday-driven business rhythms, both in procurement, supply, and demand, as well as merchandising and what consumers are looking for, how they're using products, and as gift in their gift-giving culture, will help you really better in the planning process and understand those opportunities. For the objectives, these are the general topics we'll cover. We want to start with why cultural holidays matter for exporters, where that opportunity is, and how you can take advantage of it. Understanding the demand periods throughout East Asia is really important. And really the opportunity is in retail and e-commerce promotion cycles. This is where consumers are turning to more and more to procure gifts and really see what options are available. The gift-giving culture and product positioning in East Asia is unique, and there's a lot of opportunity both in merchandising and product packaging that we strongly believe WUSADA exporters can take advantage of. However, this requires an understanding of planning shipments, inventory, shipping them around the world, and really understanding the holiday procurement cycles. And there are differences in across these markets. So we'll cover that between China, Taiwan, and Korea. Lastly, we will cover some really practical exporter strategies from on the ground experience working with US exporters in China and really help you plan more specifically for the upcoming year. And of course, we'll end with Q&A. We do have a research manager from Bryant Christie in our chat and available to answer any questions that come up. So if I don't see them right away or at the end, then we could follow up with a one-on-one or even just specific information over email. So, why cultural holidays matter for exports? In addition to all the various data out there available on the merchandise value, the sales potential during these promotional periods and opportunities, we really want to understand the market demand cycles. We all hear of these holidays that are really celebrated across multiple countries. Really, they're very cultural and very significant. There's a lot of crossover into the United States. Many of them obviously sound familiar here. We have friends and community members, family that celebrate them here in the US. But really understanding what they mean in country and export markets could really help elevate your export sales potential, and help you develop markets internationally. So, understanding holiday purchasing patterns. Major holidays create predictable spikes in consumer purchasing and importer demand across East Asia. As you develop relationships internationally through opportunities like WUSADA offers by participating in trade missions, participating in trade shows, those are great touch points to introduce yourself, introduce your product to importers. But throughout that initial stage of the relationship, really understand their business, understand their seasonal spikes, and really determine if your product has any potential in these markets during these periods. Also ask, what would it take to improve your product, to make your product more competitive? We'll touch into that a little bit later when it comes to merchandising, product packaging, any differences or new products that you may want to evolve your product into or develop. But really starting with that initial conversation and that relationship building, learn their purchasing cycles and see where your product fits in. With more shelf stable products, you have more opportunity. If you're working on if you sell more agricultural seasonal products, understand that seasonality as well. And part of that is understanding shipment cycles. Inventory planning should align with the regional seasonal buying periods and the holiday timelines. Also, be aware that retailers and e-commerce platforms build promotional campaigns around these major cultural celebrations and gifting periods. So, in addition to their procurement, they're thinking of their supply needs, what the demand is going to look like months in advance. But also be aware that there's additional retail e-commerce promotional campaigns evolving at the same time. And then also understanding holiday calendars can help you improve the coordination, avoid delays, and capture peak sales and supply opportunities. We'll go into this a little bit later, but with that opportunity, there also comes challenges. Many of these holidays are celebrated for multiple weeks. A lot of individuals and people plan their family vacations around these holiday periods. So there may be delays in communication, and obviously shipment and procurement delays as well. So it's important to align with market rhythms, as I said, and I want to dig into this a little bit more. Holiday calendars influence when companies plan purchases, their promotions, their product launches, and many buyers make decisions months before the holidays and seasonal events take place. As I mentioned previously, holiday closures can lead to reduced business activity, and they can affect ordering, shipping, and distribution schedules. So it really is important to align with your importer, align with your distributor, and retailers to the extent that you have that relationship on their local business cycle to really strengthen that communication and coordinate with them. So now I want to talk about the major holiday-driven demand periods throughout East Asia. So these are the key seasons that are driving that demand spending. I'm going to touch on kind of the three major holidays and periods. There's a few other holidays I'll mention as well within East Asia. First is Lunar New Year. This is the most significant holiday within East Asian culture, and also really celebrated worldwide now as migration has occurred, and obviously a lot of our world has become very international. Lunar New Year takes place between January and February. It's the most important traditional holiday. It marks the start of the lunar calendar year, and it's a major period for family gatherings and gift giving. So it's not the same exact period or time period every year because it does follow the lunar calendar, but it typically takes place in January or February. Consumers begin to increase their purchases of food, beverage, and gift items in the weeks leading up to the celebration. A lot of, as I said, because this is a multi week celebration, a lot of family gatherings take place in the period of time during the Lunar New Year celebration. So there really is a multi week, month long period of opportunity for increasing sales for specific gift giving for Lunar New Year. Premium packaged foods, fruit, and seafood and specialty products are commonly exchanged as gifts. Uh, And importers will place orders, as I said, months in advance due to heightened demand, but also because of factory closures and logistics disruptions. As I said, a lot of people take time off, a lot of businesses are closed. And so they really like to have their plans locked in going into the New Year celebration period. And if you wait too long, you'll miss out on that opportunity. Mid-autumn gifting is takes place typically in September or October. It's a traditional harvest festival that's celebrated in China and Taiwan. It's centered again on family gathering and moon viewing. The popular item here, typically gifted during the mid-autumn festivals, are premium food gift boxes. They've become a major retail category, and they are primarily spike in the weeks leading up to this holiday. Popular products that are included for or often given during this holiday period are nuts, dried fruits, confectionery, beverages, and specialty imported foods. Those are typically included in gift sets that are pre-packaged and available for consumers to buy and give to family members as a gift in celebration of this period of time. Now, moving on to the Dragon Boat Festival demand. This typically takes place in May and or June. It's a traditional holiday celebrated in China and Taiwan, and it's commemorated with cultural events and seasonal foods. Traditional foods include sticky rice dumplings, and they're a signature food associated with the festival. But again, gift giving gift sets are also popularized during this time. In China, sales of daily necessities, including staple foods, fruit, eggs, meat, can increase as much as 28.4% year over year during the Dragon Boat Festival period, reflecting strong short-term food demand across these retail channels. So I want to move on to Korea. Similarly, Korea celebrates a harvest period type of festival holiday called Chuseok. It takes place in September, October. It really mimics Thanksgiving in North America. It's their major harvest holiday, and it's centered on family gathering and ancestral traditions. Again, sets are a common traditional gift in this for this holiday. They're commonly exchanging food, premium gift sets with family, friends, and business contacts. Popular products, similarly, fruit, meat, seafood, health products, and premium imported foods are popular gifting categories. Chuseok drives strong seasonal demand, especially during this period of time, and major retailers report gift sales increases of 20%, while some gift set categories have more than double year over year sales, so compared to non-holiday period times. So, where are consumers turning to more and more to buy items to prepare for family gatherings and make sure that they have gifts available for their friends, family, and business contacts? It's really sales, retail, and online platforms. So, as an example, also to highlight another holiday that's popular in China, as I mentioned earlier, is Singles Day. It takes place on November 11th annually. It's the largest online shopping event in China, generating significant sales across food, beverage, and consumer product categories. Major e-commerce platforms launch extensive discounts, live streams, and marketing campaigns to drive purchases. But this requires, of course, advanced planning. So brands and retailers prepare inventory, pricing, and promotional strategies months in advance. And as I said earlier, interesting data point that the sales generated in 2024 exceeded 202 billion, making Singles Day substantially larger than Black Friday and Cyber Monday in the US combined. So, and this is Singles Day alone. So, going a little bit more broad into retail campaigns and how retailers really embrace these holidays in terms of sales and generating demand and introducing new products as well. Retailers create dedicated in-store displays, online storefronts tied to the events such as Lunar New Year or the harvest festivals in Chuseok in Korea. They offer a lot of limited time product offerings, seasonal gift sets, special packaging, holiday themed bundles are often introduced during these periods. So, any creativity you can work on with your importer, distributor, and retail partner would likely be well received. They're often looking for new, fresh ideas and really trying to draw consumers, especially in the e commerce marketplace. As I mentioned prior, early campaign planning is really crucial. They're often finalizing their plans months in advance, which requires suppliers to confirm inventory and product availability early on. So, if this is something you're really seeing a lot of opportunity on and working on, engaging with your import and distribution partner early is really crucial. And importers are frequently involved in selecting products because their retailers will often work with their importers to understand international trends. What's trending, what's happening on social media, what products are available. And so making sure at that time that you're working with your importer to make sure they're aware of the product availability and helping them position your product. And then also assessing your packaging suitability. Are there any tweaks? Are there any changes to your merchandising strategy that would make your product more competitive in this space? It would likely help increase the visibility in these markets during these periods. So, digital, now kind of focusing a little bit more specifically on e commerce and seasonal demand. Online platforms amplify holiday demand through events such as Singles Day, the G18 Shopping Festival, and the seasonal gift promotions. They do targeted marketing. They'll offer special offers. They'll use consumer data to promote holiday specific products to shoppers that are most likely to purchase them. They'll use live stream as a form of commerce and to reach consumers. Influencers and brands showcase products through live streams, driving sales during major promotional periods and driving them both mostly online, but then also tying any in store retail component as well. And there's often cross border opportunities. E commerce platforms provide a direct channel for imported products to participate in seasonal campaigns and reach new consumers. So now I want to touch more on the gift giving culture and specifically product positioning. So what are consumers really looking for during these periods in these products? They're looking for premium packaging and presentation. Consumers around the world are busier and busier. They're really looking for products that are ready to gift, that are interesting, that are beautifully packaged, very attractive, contain a diverse and interesting high quality mix of products, and are new and exciting. So, first impressions matter, of course. Packaging often serves as a reflection of product quality and brand reputation in gifting culture and the different occasions. They're looking for gift ready formats. They want products, packages, and items that are presented in premium boxes, baskets, or coordinated gift sets. And they also are attracted to holiday specific designs. So things that anything can increase appeal during key holidays or tie into the holidays specifically generally perform better in terms of sales. And the business value, well designed packaging can help imported products compete in premium retail and gifting categories. Popular gifting categories include produce, specialty foods, beverages, and imported products. Premium fruit is one of the longest standing and most traditional gift categories during these major holidays. If you have been able to travel throughout East Asia during any of these periods, you will see premium packaged fruit as a front of store and with premium merchandising during these periods for sale. You may often see melons in Japan with a retail cost of more than sometimes 100 US dollars per, depending on the origin, quality. And oftentimes, while imported products are typically seen as a premium, unique domestic items produced domestically with limited supply also generate a premium price and demand. Specialty foods, nuts, dried fruits, confectionery, and gourmet food products are included in the gift sets along with fresh produce. But we're also seeing beverages. Tea, coffee, juices, and other premium beverages are also given with personal and business gifting. And as I mentioned, imported products are often viewed as premium offerings and can appeal to consumers, especially if it's a new product that's trending internationally and has some tie into the cultural or a holiday event. Quality, symbolism, and presentation are really important during this period. Consumers are looking for premium quality. They associate higher quality products with respect, appreciation, and social status. They're looking for products that have cultural symbolisms or certain colors, numbers, and product types carry positive meanings and can really influence purchasing decisions. This is something that you could work with your importer and or retail partner to understand how your product may fit into any of these categories more and be more competitive than others. And presentation standards, attractive packaging, careful product presentation are expected for holiday and business gifts. So in summary, market perception is very important. Products that align with local gifting expectations are more likely to be selected than others. So now going into the planning part of it, planning shipments and inventory around holiday cycles. Again, it's really important to understand the procurement cycle, the schedule, and also the volume and supply expectations for your product. And that's something that you really want to work with your importer and distributors on and really understand their lead time requirements. Early purchase decisions are being made often 3 to 6 months before these holiday periods. They want to make sure that they understand what packaging and presentation and any specific product specification is available. Seasonal packaging, gift box components, promotional materials often require additional lead time. So whether that you're doing that on the US supply side or it's being repackaged. Often these are repackaged in East Asia. You want to understand that lead time and what requirements there are. And also understand the risks. Late orders you can miss your key selling windows due to factory shutdowns, vessel capacity constraints, and increased pre-holiday shipping demand. So you want to be able to ship ahead of the peak demand period. So you want to understand the shipping surges first. Freight volumes often increase before Lunar New Year, Chuseok, and Mid-Autumn Festival, creating competition for space. Transit time planning, understanding your typical transit time may be delayed due to these holiday periods. So they should account for the ocean transit time, custom clearance, and inland distribution when scheduling shipments. Again, understanding what delays may happen once the product arrives in country due to any factory closures or company holiday disruptions. Account for delays. Additional lead time can help mitigate risks from port congestion, weather disruption, and carrier schedule changes. And make sure that your products will arrive weeks before the holiday period to support the retailer merchandising and their promotional campaigns. This will go a long way with your retail partner. So, as I mentioned a few times, avoiding the holiday disruption. Oftentimes when We've been working on promotional campaigns during this period. While I said there's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of risk too, and understanding when the individuals that you're working with may be taking time off. So many factories, warehouses, logistics providers reduce their operations or close entirely during this period. Manufacturing schedules can be affected in the weeks before as workers take time off. So if you are going to be repackaging at all in country, make sure you know when that needs to take place if there are any expected closures. And then port and logistics delays have happened. There have been cargo backlogs during this period before major holidays as companies rush shipments ahead of these closure periods. So again, early coordination is crucial, working with your importers, working with your retailers to reduce these risks is really important. So, now touching on some of the market differences across China, Taiwan, and Korea. So again, we'll touch on these three markets but then also highlight some of the similarities. In China, major purchasing periods are often driven by Lunar New Year, Mid-Autumn Festival, and large-scale e-commerce promotions. In Taiwan, they're similar to China, of course, but consumers often place greater emphasis on premium food gift giving and specialty products. In Korea, Chuseok and Lunar New Year are key gifting seasons, with strong demand for premium food and health related gift sets. Across all the markets, purchasing habits, gifting expectations, and preferred product categories can vary across all the markets, but typically, as you've seen, there's some consistent in premium gift giving, premium items, packaging, and presentation. Market opportunities for US products. So, across each market, these are the specific product categories that really do well during these periods and have the greatest potential. In China, tree nuts, dairy products, specialty ingredients, and premium packaged foods can benefit from the e commerce platforms. In Taiwan, fruit, nuts, beef, dairy, and health oriented food products are often positioned in premium retail and gift channels. And Korea, taking advantage of Chuseok and Lunar New Year, create opportunities for U.S. fruit, beef, nuts, and other premium products. Across all these markets, you really want to make sure that the products have strong quality attributes, food safety credentials, and premium packaging are often best suited and strongly encouraged during these holiday driven promotional periods. So at this point, we had intended to have Roger Zhang with SMH International, but I just found out that he's having a hard time getting access to the Riverside platform in China. So I will go ahead and cover his practical exporter strategies. Forgive me, these were provided by Roger based on his on the ground experience working with USADA exporters for over 20 years. So any specific questions as a follow up would likely best be directed to Roger and we can get you in connection with them. But I will cover a lot of his slides here. He was going to start out covering how holidays shape business cycles more specifically and really touch on how holidays don't just affect consumer demand, they also affect long term consumer purchasing behavior. They offer retail promotions around these holiday periods. They really encourage distributor inventory planning, logistics, and post operations. Import operations are crucial, can be affected and also really affect government and customs processing. Many first time exporters focus on consumer demand but underestimate the operational disruption. How holidays shape business cycles in terms of consumer purchasing behaviors. Consumers buy more. They have family gatherings that increase their consumption. Their households purchase larger quantities, both for not just gift giving, but also for holiday gatherings. We all know our purchasing patterns during the Thanksgiving and holiday period here in the United States. It also obviously affects consumer purchasing behavior in East Asia, and entertaining guests become more common. Consumers trade up. They purchase more premium purchases. They have a higher willingness to spend money, and they have a greater emphasis on quality and brand reputation. With more people in your home and you're hosting more events or attending events, you really want to what you're purchasing and how it's packaged is more relevant in those situations. And consumers buy differently. Their gift purchases increase, family size packaging becomes more attractive, especially for larger events, and seasonal and culturally relevant products gain importance, such as seafood or tree nuts. Now, touching on how the holiday period affects retail promotions. So, retail decisions happen long before the holidays. Retailers increase their advertising and their spending on advertising. They create theme displays, they introduce gift packs, and they negotiate special pricing. So, again, this kind of goes into that planning and procurement piece. And then during the holidays, they push high volume sales, they feature premium products, and they allocate additional shelf space to higher value premium products, including imported products. So they sell into the retailer's planning cycle, not the holiday itself. And now touching on distributor inventory planning. Distributors become more conservative and more aggressive at the same time. They often build inventory early, advance purchase schedule up to 4 months in advance, 2 to 4 months in advance. They increase their warehouse capacity. They place larger orders up to 30 to 50% higher order volume. And they focus on proven products to guarantee sale. Despite higher demand, stockouts are costly and excess inventory after holidays is risky. So, getting plugged into their planning process early on is crucial. Logistics and port operations. So, oftentimes overlooked, this aspect is overlooked, but people rush shipments and many workers take leave, as I mentioned earlier. So, before major holidays, you can deal with container shortages, vessel space constraints, increased freight rates, and port congestion. During the holidays, unloading is slower, trucking is slower. There's warehouse bottlenecks and reduced operating capacity. So it's important to build in extra lead time. A shipment that normally takes 30 days may require 45 to 60 days advance planning during peak holiday periods. Government and customs processing is also affected, and it could reduce your effective processing of capacity. There's fewer working days, staff leave schedules are different, and there's inspection delays, slower document processing. And this has a real impact, particularly on seafood, fresh produce, frozen products, and products requiring inspections or health certificates. So, documentation accuracy is really important during these periods because you don't want any risk or any further delay that could have been avoided. So, practical recommendation: plan months before the holiday. Start with the holiday date, determine any promotional period, work with your distributor to understand the ordering deadline, understand shipping lead times and the production timeline. For example, if a holiday occurs in September, retailers may need inventory by August, which means importers need product by July. And so exporters may need to complete all of their products shipment protocol by June. Build extra time into logistics. So communicate early regarding your capacity, your available inventory, identify any packaging changes and plan accordingly, and then also procure any promotional support. Oftentimes, cooperative promotions help elevate or position your product more competitively when you're offering additional promotional support to a retailer or e-commerce platform. Buffer in time for port congestion, custom delays, warehouse capacity constraints, and holiday labor shortages. And strategy 3, communicate early with importers. So, different holidays create different opportunities. Ask your customers, what are your major selling seasons? Which holiday best fits my product? Whether the opportunity is gifting, family consumption, or e commerce, really understand the channels and where your product best fits. Understand when purchase decisions occur. So if it's not now, how can we take advantage of the next holiday cycle next year? And then obviously understanding when inventory must arrive. At this point, we'll move on to any other questions. I hope that was helpful, especially Roger's slide.
Thank you, Alicia, for covering Roger's portion of the presentation today, and thank you for all of your key insights that you shared as well. If any questions do come in, feel free to get them to us via email, and we can connect you with Alicia and Roger to follow up with any questions that you have after today's webinar. So here is a look at what we have upcoming for WUSADA events throughout 2026, specific to the markets that were covered today. We've got the Seoul Food and Hotel Show happening right now, actually, in Seoul, Korea. So we've got some people on the ground there. We've got a WUSADA Pavilion presence at that show. If you are not at that show this year but have questions about it for future years, let us know. We also have our WUSADA Pavilion at the Food Taipei show coming up in just a couple of weeks. And then a Taiwan inbound mission to the Global Produce and Floral Show coming up in October. Taiwan restaurant promotion is going on in October and November as well. And then the WUSADA Pavilion at the China International Import Expo is in November. And finally, we have a craft beverage outbound mission happening in November as well in Taipei. All right. Well, thank you once again to Alicia for covering today's webinar. Thank you for all the insights you shared and the valuable recommendations and strategies for exporters to really expand in these markets. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll send a follow-up email with the recording and additional resources shortly. Have a great day, and we look forward to continuing to support your export journey.